Okay, pregnant mums, I want to talk with you today about how fear is a liar. I'm a midwife of 18 years experience. I'm a certified fearless birthing practitioner, and I'm the founder of Aligned Birth, a mindset coaching program designed to facilitate positive birth experiences. There are two major studies that have been conducted involving Australian women, both with incredible outcomes. The first was a study based on 500 women from both Australia and Sweden, where those women were categorized into three groups: the self-determiners, the take it as it comes, and the fearful. The self-determiners were defined as women who held strong beliefs and opinions around birth and who knew what they wanted. It wasn't necessarily a holistic water birth at home in the bathtub. It was more like women who knew what they needed. Women in the take it as it comes category were defined as not having strong beliefs or opinions around birth, and it turned out in the end those were the women who were most vulnerable to suggestions from health professionals, and surprisingly, this group of women ended up with the highest rate of elective cesarean sections, effectively because they just tended to agree with whatever was presented to them in the moment. And lastly, the fearful were women who were defined as having high rates of fear or anxiety around birth, around pain, around loss of control, and around the potential implications of childbirth on their body in the future. These were the women who were found to have later recalled the highest percentage of pain around their births. They had the highest rates of intervention in their births. They reported the highest rate of traumatic birth experiences, and these are the women who felt the least confident about the possibility of having to go through childbirth again in the future. And that is in contrast with women in the self-determined category who later recalled the lowest percentages of pain in their labour and birth, the lowest rate of intervention, the lowest rates of birth-related trauma, and the highest rates of what they themselves defined as a positive birth experience. Now, the name of this study is really long. Bear with me while I read it out to you. For people who, really want to kind of read the study, I can provide a link in the comments. The title of that study is called The Influence of Women's Fear, Attitudes and Belief of Childbirth on Mode and Experience of Birth. Now, there's a second really influential study conducted on 1,410 Australian women who reported themselves as having unusually high levels of fear or anxiety tied to their upcoming birth experience. These women were divided into two groups. The control group received routine antenatal care from routine care providers. The second group received routine antenatal care, and they received a series of therapeutic phone calls from a midwife during their pregnancy in which these following things were covered specifically. Now again, bear with me. They centered on understanding the woman's fear, enabling them to build confidence, and using psychological tools and techniques that would allow them to feel more in control. Now, this study is known as the belief trial. So what the outcomes of this study indicate were quite remarkable. It reports that women who received the therapeutic phone calls were less likely to experience traumatic flashbacks after birth, and they finished pregnancy more confident about giving birth again. As a midwife who has worked across the full scope of childbirthing experiences, from completely medicalized, every single form of medication, full cascade of intervention, all the bells and whistles associated with a medicalized labour and birth, right through to babies being born in the bathtub at home completely undisturbed. The results of those studies don't surprise me. The thing we know about having a baby, regardless of how you have that baby, so whether you're having that baby via spontaneous labour, or you're having it via an induction of labour, or you're having it via a highly medicalized birth with loads of pain relief and drugs and intervention, or you're having an elective cesarean section, or you're having even an emergency cesarean section, every single one of those forms of birth involve complex hormonal feedback systems. Now, when our body is working really hard to have a baby, regardless of how we're having it, and it's pumping out loads and loads of either labor hormones or the cascade of oxytocin and beta endorphins that come with meeting our baby for the first time. If we are also pumping out fear and anxiety, so adrenaline and cortisol, in equal amounts, if we're walking into that birth experience believing the lies that fear is telling us, lies like I'm powerless, or birth is something that happens to me that I have no control over, or my body is not capable of this, or my body is broken and I am weak. The more we agree with those lies, the more we start producing adrenaline and cortisol at the same time as we are also producing all the hormonal cascade that goes on with having a baby. What we know about adrenaline and cortisol is that they block oxytocin receptors. Now, whether that oxytocin is being produced as part of the labor process or that oxytocin is being produced as we've just had a surgical delivery and we're meeting our baby for the first time, same situation. The more we are agreeing with fear and anxiety and trauma, even though our body is compensating for that by producing loads of beta endorphins and oxytocin, if we're listening to fear more than we're listening to what is biologically true for ourselves and our babies, we're going to be blocked off from all the positive things that can come from that experience. Amongst the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of babies that I have assisted to arrive in the world, there's been a very small selection of what I would describe as, I hate to use this word, but it's true, catastrophic emergency cesarean sections. And amongst all the potential for trauma that existed around those experiences, I've witnessed women shrug it off and get lost in the bliss of welcoming their baby into the world. And I've watched those women from a state of awe, thinking, oof, mama, where do you get your resilience? Because here you are, triumphing in nothing but love and bliss for your baby. That is a woman whose oxytocin levels are up here and whose fear and anxiety levels are down here somewhere. That is an intricate hormonal process that they have chosen to lean into. Now, on the flip side of that, I've also witnessed women give birth who had what I would have, as an experienced health professional, described as a peaceful birth experience with no adverse outcomes and no obvious reasons for trauma, although I appreciate trauma is a really personal thing and we never, fully understand or appreciate what's going on beneath the surface of someone who often appears like they're in control. So I respect that trauma can be often internalized. But from all clinical appearances, these could have been described as low-risk births with positive birthing outcomes and very little, if any, potential for trauma. And yet I've seen women walk away from that experience claiming massive birth-related trauma around it, and really had to debrief with them, like, can you walk me through this process and can you help me understand where that trauma began for you? Because from the outside, things looked really peaceful. And I've got to say, most of the time, what it comes down to is a woman whose fear and anxiety levels are up here, and sometimes that fear and anxiety has nothing to do with the birth that they're experiencing in the moment. That fear and anxiety can come from a whole other place in their life which is totally unrelated to childbirth, but they're carrying it with them into the birthing room. And what's happening is that the adrenaline and the cortisol associated with that fear response are blocking off their labor hormone receptors, and consequently the oxytocin levels that their body is actually able to access and utilize from their bloodstream are down the floor somewhere. And the way that that woman perceives her labor experience is dramatically impacted as a result. There is a hormonal mechanism that exists around labour and birth for women and for their partners too. The partners of pregnant women can experience antenatal anxiety. The partners of pregnant women can experience birth-related trauma. The partners of pregnant women can experience postnatal depression. The more that we begin to understand the way that fear impacts the nervous system, the way that it affects our hormonal feedback cycles, and the way that it can trigger what some people would describe as a cascade of what they felt were traumatic events for them in their life, the more we understand that yes, we may be thinking and feeling those things in real time, but that does not make them true, the more we appreciate the fact that fear is a liar and we can choose not to believe it, the more we can begin to shut down the panic response during labour or birth or a cesarean section, the more we can begin to navigate that process of building fear and anxiety, and the more we can learn, most importantly, to lead our own birth experience from a place of strength, power, and influence. The more that birth experience is likely to become a transformative event for us in a way that leaves us stronger, more powerful, and more resilient than we were before. I feel so strongly about supporting women to have positive birth experiences that I spent 5 very long years writing out 10 modules, and this is long before AI was accessible in our everyday lives. But I committed myself to writing these modules and putting together the Aligned Birth Mindset Coaching Program. So there's 10 modules in total, all of which have been designed to help you identify and connect with your internal source of strength, power, and influence. And if you're among those women in the world that feel that they don't have that, I don't have a source of internal strength, I don't have a source of internal influence, I don't have an internal source of power, I'm a powerless individual. If you feel that way, then I take it upon myself as a certified fearless birthing practitioner to walk you through these modules and to enable you to cultivate a strong sense of freedom, choice, and flexibility in your life, which is going to extend not just into your birth experience, but into your parenting experience and into your life as a whole. If that sounds like something that resonates with you, I would love to work with you. My name is Gillian. Please reach out to me, alignedbirth.co.nz.